Hello dear viewer, I go by the name Avuva on the internet and I have a bit of a problem. I purchased a USB stick and as it turns out it seemingly has less space on it as was advertised. Now I am aware of this entire situation with the differentiation between 1024 and 1000 as being like the metric system and the other one, like if it's measured like for instance this thing or versus just like that, so where like it's then like this or like this. I am aware of this difference, so that's not what this is about. So just to get that out of the way, this is not what it is about. This is irrelevant to what I'm talking about. So yeah, with that out of the way, I ran the fdisk L and got this as a result for the USB stick. Let me zoom in, if the stupid mouse would work. Can I zoom in from here? Where's the key? Control there, right. So I got this as a result. So as you can see, the problem I'm encountering is this here. That does not look like 256 billion to me. Does it look like that to you? So as you can see, there is this many sectors. So if I take the calculator, I multiply that with the size of each sector, and then we get this as a number. Comparing this, copying that from there, minusing that from there, and we can see that it's the same number. So the disk has a consistent number, so there's no issue with the sectors or any nonsense like that. It just seems like it has way less space than it's supposed to have. If it was advertised as being a 256 gigabyte, so I assume it's in the units like this. That's the size it should have. 256 billion bytes. So here's my question then. Is there something about USB sticks that I'm unfamiliar with? That there is something about them, some technology, some redundancy thing going on with like, oh, there's like this redundancy, and like some of those like bytes are allocated for like redundancy purposes. So if I divide that by that, somehow even as much as like 3.1% of the disk is for like redundancy purposes. So like that's still a pretty big number, and I'd like to know about that if that was the case. That's 8 gigabytes missing. I'm missing 8 gigabytes from my USB stick. So is this false advertising? So like I'm thinking that like I should return the product and I should get like money back or something, like if this is like false advertising or like whatever nonsense. Now any specific legal issues in different countries and whatever, I'm not gonna get into that. I don't care about that. That's not what I'm interested in. The problem is specifically like the fact that like I'm looking at this from like the technical point of view. Is there something about USB sticks that I'm unfamiliar with, where there's like something that I don't know about it? So like if this is the space it's supposed to have on the left and on the right is the actual size I got, then that's, you know, it's missing this amount, and like is that like false advertising? False advertising. It's not the size it's supposed to be. It's missing 8 gigabytes. 8 gigabytes is not nothing. Like it's as high as like 3% of the whole size, and that's not good. So as you can see, that all the math equations, it's still quite a lot in that sense. I only got this much of what I paid for. So I only got 96% of what I paid for, 96.8%. So like, but like here's the thing. Here's another thing. So CDs, back in the day when CDs were a big thing, they were advertised as having 700 megabytes. And that they do have. It's not a redundancy thing, because you see, here's the thing. With the CD discs back in the day, the 700 is the guaranteed size that's available to the customer. It's always 700. Technically, the CD disc might actually have space. It can store more than 700 megabytes. Whether you call it overburning or whatever, doesn't really matter. Technically, the CD disc can contain more space than just 700 megabytes. It's just that 700 megabytes is what's guaranteed, basically. And then there's all the redundancy nonsense. But still, here's the important thing. It's advertised as 700, and then when the CD is put in, it shows as 700. So like the size, so it would have the equivalent of 700 megabytes here in the advertised size. So it should look like there being 700 megabytes here. And that's the same with like any other such thing where like if it's advertised as being 700 megabytes, it should have 700 megabytes available. So if this product is advertised to me as 256 gigabytes, then why is it that it doesn't have 256 billion here? Now, of course, one thing to again make note of, like I mentioned it earlier at the beginning of the video, the CD discs were measured in the 1024 format, whereas this disc I assume is measured in the 1000 format. So yeah, but like I mentioned, it's irrelevant. Just make note of that the CDs were actually advertised differently like that. But still, regardless of which number system is being used for, or measurement system, unit system rather, yeah, regardless of which units are being used, there's no way to make this into 256 billion. You see, if I divide this by, again, what's that? So that's obviously not that, but even if I use this system, it's still not 256. Like, there's just no way to make that into 256. It's just not 256. It's not. So, is this false advertising? The USB stick I got is from Maxell. So, it's written as, like, if I get the, like the way it looks like, the formatting of the text, like the fonts and stylizing, it's Maxell. So like it's Maxell discs. Maxell 256 gigabyte USB 3.2 Gen 1 Venture. Like, that's the product, and it's bullshit. Like, what's this about? Yeah, like it's not 256. Like, it's supposed to be 256. Like I mentioned, the CDs, they had a guaranteed size of 700 megabytes. It was advertised as 700 megabytes, and it had 700 megabytes. So there's no room for any ambiguity that, oh, like there's this magical redundancy going on. And like, no. When you advertise a 700 megabyte CD, it has 700 megabytes available to the user. So there's no magical bullshit redundancy that you can use as an excuse. That's nonsense. So yeah, it seems like you shouldn't buy these USB sticks at the very least. If like this is the kind of nonsense, that's not 256. You can't make that into 256 gigabytes. I don't know what on earth units you should use to get that into 256. Like, if that's 256, that's some weird math you are using. Like, that's a stupid, bizarre unit you just made up. In what units is this 256 gigabytes? It's not in these units, but it's not in the metric units either. That's just not 256 gigabytes. Yeah, well, I'll have to think about this, like what to do. Am I gonna return the product? Should I like complain or something? So, who knows? Damn, like this is just some nonsense. Who knows what the law says in Finland, where I live, about like false advertising or whatever. Like, should I bother using this? Is this a common thing anyway? Like, does this happen? I haven't inspected USB sticks and such, like, in such detail that I would know about this being a common thing. And yeah, I don't know, like, I have no clue, so that's why I'm asking. What do you people know? Like, like no way there's some stupid redundancy going on. No way. No way. That's not the case. No way. I can't believe that there is some stupid redundancy going on like with CD disks. But even then, CD advertised as 700 megabytes, and 700 megabytes is what's available to the user. So there is no magical redundancy that's gonna... No such excuse. Nonsense. Yeah, that's false advertising, I say. Yeah, fuck this, like, this is bullshit. Give me my 256 billion bytes. It's missing an entire 8 gigabytes. That's not nothing. If I copy this number, it's missing an entire... Look at it, 256 times 1000. The third power minus that. What's going on now? What? Oh. Sorry, that was a wrong character. Right. So yeah, it's missing an entire 8 gigabytes. That's not nothing. Yeah, well, I guess that's it for this video then. Thanks for watching. I hope you have some answers if there's some technically knowledgeable people watching this. Yeah, I guess do let me know if like there's some convenient means to let me know in some comment sections, like primarily on like YouTube and Odyssey, where I'm gonna put this. I'm also gonna put this video of course on my Eep site, but there's no easy way to leave comments there. So yeah, primarily YouTube and Odyssey. Like if there's like some comment section, you can answer the question, because like yeah, where's my 8 gigabytes? Like it only has this many sectors. Like you can't really blame like bad sectors either, because the bad sectors wouldn't reduce this number as far as I'm aware. And also, how could there be 8 gigabytes worth of bad sectors? Even that would make the product bad quality and worth throwing away and like returning, or rather, because if it has 8 gigabytes worth of bad sectors and that somehow reduces from this number, which I don't think it's supposed to, it's the same number regardless. It's just it doesn't reduce the sector count like this if the sector goes bad. That's not what happens, as far as I'm aware. I might be mistaken. So that's what I'm asking, like, is there some weird technology here that I'm aware with, unfamiliar with? Because this seems like bullshit to me. Yeah, well, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching, until next time, bye.